Om Sarvadharmasthapakastam Sarvadharmaswarupakah Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishna Yate Namaha. We are studying here Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, second part, as the spiritual aspirant or struggler or sadhak. And we are in the 12th chapter. And the name of the chapter is The Holy Man with the Matted Hair and Thakur's sadhana of the Vatsalya Bhav. And we read up to 17 points, whereas the point toward the end was that if Thakur got an urge to do something, he would do it immediately, and till its completion, he would finish it off. And some other things which he understood to be opposite to spiritual ideal, he would shun it completely. Now, because this was possible because the old sanskaras were practically non-existent in him. So, how much of this we can follow, who can follow, that is the point to be discussed now. 18th para we read. We meet on investigation with many such events, even in the lives of persons perfected and liberated in life, not to speak of the incarnations of God. So what we call Jivan Muktas, Siddha Jivan Muktas. So Jivan Muktas are liberated in life. So there also we find such things. So a wider group is taking now. All these things explanation in the introduction to Gurva Purvada he had told us that while analyzing his life, sometimes like our mind, sometimes scriptural evidence, sometimes comparison with incarnations, sometimes unique. So that is how he has made us understand Thakur up till now. So as the group, we find the similarities in a group and we think we know that thing. That is the human knowledge. And so here it is not only incarnation, but he has widened the group where similar incidents are there. If we want to find a rational explanation of the happy synthesis between the uncommon personal effort and the absolute dependence on universal will, which is invariably noticed in the lives of these personalities, we are inevitably led to the conclusion that their personal efforts are but the manifestation of the same all-pervading will. That is the problem. That is the solution. Their will, or even the mind, has become universal, is universal, has become universal. So, if something arises in their mind, same thing arises, or same thing has arisen in the universal mind. And if something has arisen in the universal mind, it is going to happen. That is the whole world. Every phenomenon of the world first happens in the universal mind and then becomes expressed as the gross things in the world. So, we see that their sankalpas become true. So, personal efforts, we see them personal effort. Now, that effort is an expression of the universal will through this person, so it appears personal. Are inevitably led to the conclusion that their personal efforts are but the manifestation of the same all-pervading will. Therefore, it is clear that all these selfish impressions in the minds of these persons who depend absolutely on the God's will are destroyed once for all. Selfish is relating to this narrow personality, body, organs, minds, consciousness reflected in body-mind complex. So, that is not there. If it was there, it has been burnt out because their minds have become universal. Are destroyed once for all. Their minds ascend to a holy plane of consciousness where pure desires alone, absolutely untarnished by selfishness, rise in them. Holy plane of consciousness means non-individual. Shuddha Chitta. That's all. Shuddha, Chitta, and consciousness. Pavitra Bhumite Upnitva. Fine. Pavitra means no enjoyment there, no selfishness there. That is Pavitra or holy. Where pure desires alone, desires, the vibrations in the universal mind are called desires. And that desire is not going to harm anybody in the world. It will be beneficial to the whole world. Where pure desires alone, absolutely untarnished by selfishness, rise in them. So freely reposing their faith in the desires of their minds and acting under their impulse, these sadhakas in that state do not incur any blame. So, no dosh there, it is universal benefit that the things will happen. Such actions of the master, it goes without saying, should not be imitated by the ordinary people. But the sadhakas, who can do that? But the sadhakas, in the unique state mentioned above, where there is no personalism or selfishness or that narrow body-mind complex is not there. But the sadhakas in the unique state mentioned above will no doubt be much enlightened by them in guiding their lives. And that is what in another place Sakura said that when the mind becomes very pure, it itself becomes the Guru. It is not going to lead you to anything wrong. And they can fully repose faith in that and go ahead. The scriptures have compared their desire for eating, drinking, etc., which are necessary for the preservation of the life, to fried seeds. Seeds give rise to plants, and the seeds are fried. Then you can put it in the earth or anywhere, they can never give rise to. So, bharjita bij is the avastha. Just as roasted seeds of trees, creepers, etc., lose their vital power and cannot germinate, so the worldly desires of those persons, roasted over the fire of self-control and divine knowledge, can no more draw them towards enjoyment and lead them astray. The master also said about it, coming in contact with the philosopher's stone, a steel sword becomes golden. It retains unchanged its formidable form, but it can inflict no injury. So that is the example Thakur has given. Shastra said Bharjita Bij. Sri Ramakrishna has given a beautiful example. There is a sword, and the sword is used to cut the enemies. Now, there is a concept of philosopher's stone, Parasamani. So if the Parasamani has touched a thing of iron, it turns it into gold. Now it has been touched by the vibration in the universal mind. That is the Parasamani. So this now iron has become gold. Now the form is of the same talwar. But that talwar is not used to cut anybody. Because it is gold, they may keep it in the worship room. The value has changed, the shape only has remained. So that is the example given. All mentations of such sadhakas correspond to facts, examples in the master's life. So, if something has arisen in the mind, it is bound to happen in the external world. The seers of the Upanishads say that all the mental processes of the sadhakas in that state correspond to facts in correspond to facts, means in the outer world. In other words, all the ideas arising naturally in their minds naturally always prove to be objectively true and never otherwise. What is object? The grossification of the idea. And if the ideas arising in the universal mind, it will be definitely expressed in the outer world objectively, grossified. We could never have believed the above mentioned words of this are theory. But it is very difficult for a man to believe this. If we had not repeatedly tested the ideas of the master established in Bhagavad and found them to be true, because he is establishing Bhagavad universal mind, so the ideas are true. If you felt hesitation about taking any food, it was, we have seen, found on inquiry to have been polluted before. We are not saying it from outside, but Thakur has understood it. If he felt his power of speech failing him suddenly when he was about to say anything spiritual to anybody, it was proved that the said person was in truth completely unfit for it. So he wants to speak something, but he cannot. If he felt that a certain person would not realize religious truths or would realize but a few in his life, it actually came to happen so. There is something to be discussed. Each soul is potentially divine, no doubt. But the mind is, through the mind it is going to express. And the mind is very, very dirty. It cannot express in that life. And so, it may express a little, next life little more, next life little more, that is how it grows. And so, though each soul is potentially divine, the potentiality of spiritual life is 1 in 1,000, they say. 1 in thousands, what is they say? And so, for ordinary people, something may happen to them, a little awakening may come to them, but that much. He understood it immediately because he is looking at from the universal mind. So he understands immediately this person is worthless. From outside we cannot understand. Swami Vivekananda used to take his friends whom he thought has special merits and religiously minded your life apparently, them he used to take to Thakur. And Thakur would not talk to them even. And Thakur said, I see the lower propensities or lust is like a bull in them. So, and those persons also could not understand Thakur. Apparently pure and all that. They said, where Naren took us to an ordinary man. It actually came to happen so. If any particular mood or a particular form of a deity appeared in his mind when he saw a certain person, it was known that the said person was a sadhaka of that mood or that deity. Actually, man is a grossification of the gods. From gods, man has come. So, by seeing the man, Thakur understood he should go by this bhav and worship this deity. If he suddenly said anything to any person under the influence of an inward mood, that person got much light by it and his life became altogether changed. Suddenly, no context, nothing but seeing the person, master take something and that person's life is changed. This is also the guidance from the universal mind. Innumerable incidents of this type can be cited because always it is happening. Now, all this discussion is about master undertaking the Vatsalya of sadhana and succeeding in it immediately. The master was initiated in the Vatsalya mode of sadhana by Jatadhari. He practiced it and reached its akim. That is, in Thakur, anybody practices, he reaches the akim shortly. Urged by that irresistible inward devotional mode, the master, as he used to do on many other occasions, now regarded himself as a woman. So all this is about why he became like a woman. Was it good or bad? That we have seen. Now regarded himself as a woman, both in body and mind, and acted accordingly in body also. So when he had the vision of Rama as a sweet child, he assumed the attitude of maternal affection towards him. He had been no doubt initiated in the mantra of Rama long ago in order to perform properly the worship and service of his family deity Raghuveer. But he was then not attracted, so not only a particular God, but the relation with God, the mantra has to be according. But he was then not attracted towards him in any mood except that of a servant toward the master. So he practiced Hanuman Bhava, and we have seen that. Having the above mentioned new mood toward the deity, that Hanuman has become a woman now, and he is feeling his mother to the child. And that is Thakur's mind, such a thing is not possible, but we can find out our way and follow that portion of Thakur's life. Having the above mentioned new mood toward the deity, he now became anxious to be initiated by Guru according to the scriptures in a mantra befitting the new mood and to reach the ultimate aim of realization in that discipline. Everywhere he will reach Advaita in the end. Perfected in the mantra of the divine child. Now, those who are having Bengali should not get confused a little. English has made it translated correctly. Gopal mantra is mentioned in the Bengali book. No, we should not associate Gopal mantra with Bhagavan Krishna, because here he is worshipping child Rama. Though both belong to same incarnation of Vishnu. So, Gopal mantra here only means mantra towards God as child. So here it is translated. I deliberately told you about Bengali because many people will have that Bengali book in their hand. They should not get confused. Perfected in the mantra of the divine child. Jatadhari came to know the eagerness of the master and gladly initiated him in the mantra of his own chosen idea. That is not Krishna, Ram. Merged in the sadhana of that mantra in the manner taught by him, so he learned the manner also. The master succeeded in the course of only a few days in having the divine vision of the child Rama constantly. So that is the acumen of the sadhana. He reached within a few days. Absorbed in the meditation of that divine form, in the mood of maternal affection towards him, he soon came to realize that, let me read it it is a Hindi couplet. जो राम, very important it is, जो राम दशरथ का बेटा वही राम घट घट में लेटा, जो राम जगत पसेरा वही राम सबसे न्यारा. जो राम दशरथ का बेटा, that means born as a human child, वही राम घट घट में लेटा, but his nature is that he is in the hearts of all. He is the reality of all. Now this Gata Gata Mein Leta, or reality of all, tells us that he is Saguna Brahma. So the next line says, Jo Rama Jagata Pasera, when Rama who is all pervading, Vahi Rama Sabase Nara. He is different from everything, he is beyond everything. So Avatar is not only Saguna Brahma, Avatar is also Nirguna Brahma. Nirguna Brahma and Saguna Brahma are not two. It is our reading, our realization that makes it Nirguna or Saguna. If we realize him as the support of this world, he is Saguna. And when we realize him fully, there is no world there. So he is Nirguna. And the key to this is I consciousness. If I am there, world is there. If I is merged in Brahman, world is merged in Brahman. So the whole thing depends upon even that great Vedantic dictum, Aham Brahmasmi, I is there. So one goes beyond that and then no I, no world. So English, he soon came to realize that, and that is the end of any relation with any incarnation. Rama, who is the son of Dasharatha, is in every being. The same Rama is immanent in the universe and yet transcends it. That is the nature of reality. There are many people who think Rama is an imagination. From where this originated, I am not talking about the present politics. Where these so-called scholars also feel like that, where it has originated. There are in Greece or Rome or whatever English, basic of English literature, two epics, that means long poems. So they don't have any such idea. And when they found these two long poems, Ramayana and Mahabharata, They said they are long poems. And they gave us Hindus or Indians that education which made many of us believe in that. That is the source. That led to this idea that is imagination. And when Thakur-like persons and hundreds of others, thousands, millions of others, even today have the darshan of Rama, was in an imagination. So these things cannot be proved in court of law. They can be experienced, and that is the proof. So I told you the origin of this so-called secular idea is due to the British education. That is to say, Rama is not only Dasharatha's son, but also exists as a jiva in each body. He exists as a jiva. Jiva bhave. Okay. As jiva. In each body. The life in that body, the consciousness in that body. Again, entering the universe and eternally manifesting himself as it itself is the universe. His ever existence in his own attributeless nature, devoid of Maya, and beyond everything in the universe. We heard the master reciting on many occasions the Hindi complete given above. Yes, because it is a very fundamental truth, guidance for whole humanity. And as Swami Vivekananda said, they should worship Jesus Christ also like that. Jatadhari made a gift of the image of Ram Lala to the master. Besides initiating the master in the mantra, Jatadhari, before he went away, made a gift to the master of the image of Ram Lala, which he had served so long with single-minded devotion. For that living image expressed his desire to Jatadhari that he would henceforward live with master. We have described elsewhere in great detail. This has been described in the Guruva Uttarartha. In detail, the extraordinary Leela of that image with the master and Jatadhari. And Jatadhari's life was fulfilled in Thakur's company. So he could give that image. He did not require the support of the image. Therefore, it is unnecessary to deal with that topic here again. To what extent the Bhairavi Brahmani helped the master at the time of Vatsalya sadhana? Because she was there. When the master applied his mind in the aforesaid manner to perfecting the Vatsalya devotion and experienced its ultimate result, the Bhairavi Brahmani was staying at Dakshineshwar. We were told by the master himself that she was as highly experienced in the disciplines of the Pancha Bhava spoken of in the Vaishnava books as she was in those of the Tantra. Did the master receive any particular help from her while practicing the Vatsalya and Madhur Bhava? Next is going to come that. We have not clearly heard anything about it from him, but we are told by the master and Hridaya that established in the mood of maternal affection towards God, the Brahmani treated the master as Gopal, the child Krishna. Therefore, it is inferred that the master got at least some help from her, both at the time when he assumed the mood of maternal affection toward the child Krishna. Here again Krishna has come. Okay, so that also he has done sometime. Here we are concerned with his worship of Rama as a child. Affection toward the child Krishna and the ultimate experience in that mood, and when he practiced Madhura Bhav, it is coming in the next following chapters. The sweet mood, himself adopting the attitude of a woman towards her lover. So Panchabhava we have only read Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, like a friend. And it has this variation, Saki, and Vatsalya and Madhur. Now, Madhur Bhav itself has two categories or aspects. The wife towards the husband. But the wife towards the husband, love, is circumscribed by the social surroundings, social laws, social etiquettes. So it moves under a limited field, though it is very acute. But then, if a woman gets attracted to a person, not her husband, then she does not have to care for the society because it is fundamentally against the society. So when she is accepting it, she has already gone out of the social laws. So that attraction is much more intense than it has not to pass through any social things. So that is much more free and intense than the husband-wife relationship. So both of them are called Madhurva. Here it is mentioned directly, the sweet mood himself adopting the attitude of a woman towards her lover. One might doubt whether he actually got any particular help from her. But we are not read it. Thakur has not told it. So we doubt. But this much is admitted without doubt that a strong desire to practice the disciplines of those moods arose in his mind when he saw the Brahmani engaged in them and heard her eulogize them. So she has eulogized it, she has practiced it, and seeing it, Thakur is not going to stop short. If there is any method of realizing God anywhere in the world, and if he comes across that, he would not stop without realizing it himself. That is how he came as incarnation. And that is how the harmony of religions is established. Now, we are moving to a very, very delicate sadhana. And at first, Saradananda Swamiji is telling us some profound truths about it. So here, a chapter, the essence of the Madhura Bhava, chapter 13, the essence of a Madhura Bhava. Madhura Bhava Sara Tattva. Then he will describe how Thakur practiced it. Because this is little strange, so he first describes these elements. And while describing it, he has taken great caution. Because everybody will not understand it at all. That is what he says. And what one does not understand, one criticizes. Not because it is wrong or right, but because you do not understand it. And apparently, it looks as if it is anti-social or outside society and all condemnable. If you see similar things in a human social relationship, you do not know about God how it happens. So, let us be guided by Saradananda Swamiji. Because we have started trying to understand Sri Ramakrishna and to derive as much benefit from him as we can. And so, let us be guided by Saradananda Swamiji. And for that understanding, let us for the moment at least transform ourselves into that. The hard inward struggle of the aspirant and his goal Inward struggle. Okay. So, the sadhak, as per the sadhak here, sadhaka struggles is inward. There is nothing to do outside. All outside helps he takes to struggle inside. It is difficult for one who is not a sadhaka to understand the biographies of sadhaka straight away. First sentence. Difficult. It does not say impossible. If anyone is not sadhaka, he does not know what is the internal struggle. And so, very categorically, Sadhana Swamiji has stated this because he had discussed something like sadhak bhav in the beginning. But in all other bhavas, he had not discussed this. But now, it is such a holy thing, such an innermost thing which stirs the human mind totally, that is bound to tell us, caution us to tread slowly on that path, to feel as much as possible the inward struggle and then to understand that. He is not prohibiting us from understanding that. He has written that in the book for the benefit of the whole world. So he is only telling us that we should tune our minds in a very different level to understand this. You want to understand this. For sadhana is a thing of the subtle realm of spirituality. Spirituality means, spirit means Atman. Spirituality means connection with Atman. And subtle means not in the outside world, not experienced by the indriyas, which we normally are doing. So we have to give up our system of life and we have to try to enter inside the subtler realm and ultimately reach the absolute reality which is fully inside. There means in the inner struggle of a sadhaka, the gross deluding forms of sight, taste and other sense objects are not experienced. Once you go beyond that, the gross things are left behind. That is the start of sadhana. Sadhana is not doing this or doing that. Sadhana is changing the level of consciousness from the ordinary to the ultimate. So the first step is change the direction of the consciousness. And so nothing of the outside world will remain. The gross deluding forms of sight, taste and other sense objects are not experienced. Once you leave that behind, how it will be experienced? In the sadhana. You are experiencing them in your life. But when you are doing sadhana, you are going inside. That is sadhana. There, the marvelous coexistence or succession of events around what appear to be external things and persons is not seen. What is this marvelous thing? बाह्य वस्तु व्यक्ति सकल अवलंबने घटनावली विचित्र समावेश पारंपर्य देखा जाए ना. Okay. Vichitra is the word used there. Marvelous to the ordinary man. So, outside world is telling us what it is. Coexistence or succession. Some event connected with some event are together. Some event gives rise to some other event in the outside world. That is succession. And outside world and their connections and cause and effect or succession, that is totally absent in the inward. So not only the world is absent, but the laws of the world, the connections in the world, they are not there. Neither is there the slightest manifestation of the frantic effort. Now, here is hitting hard. Neither is there the slightest manifestation of the frantic efforts which a man makes for the sole purpose of enjoying the monopoly of pleasures for elbowing out all others. That is what is outside life. And we call that man a hero. All these companies, let us take some example to understand this. Now take the politics. They think if China has to rise, it has to subdue India. America thinks if they are to be superior, they should suppress Russia. That is what the world is. And in individual, if you go, now Swamiji has analyzed in one place. We hear the word healthy competition. Swamiji says healthy competition is like hot ice. I once traveled from Chandigarh to Patiala, maybe 2 hours or little more journey, with a fresh MBA, finance. And so I asked him what your thing is. And he explained to me for full 1 hour. And what I understood that push out other companies and make your company more financial. That is the MBA. That is what is taught in the MBA. Examples are plenty. One example which he gave me. Take any soft drink company, Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola. Now throughout the world, locally, many people make soft drinks. Now they want that their product should be sold there also. So suppose a soft drink company is selling for 7 rupees for say 200 ml. They will go to that spot, open a shop and sell their products at 6 rupees. Maybe a loss or less profit. They don't worry. They have a lot of money. So people will naturally take to their product instead of that. So much so that man will not be able to sell anything and will have to close his factory. Then you go and tell them, sell your factory to me. I will purchase it for what you want. So the man, when he is unable to do business, sells it to you. And when you have taken that product, you raise your price to 8 rupees and recover whatever apparent loss was there. Now what people will do? They have only one drink in their city, so they will have to purchase. They may shout a little, but they will have to purchase. This is the way the big companies go on swallowing smaller companies. So that humans, they are humans only. And that these things are totally absent in his own struggle to reach the reality. This is the picture of the outside world. Now see these competitions. UPSC or whatever, so many guides, and you can also, I can also. If you get selected, somebody else is definitely deprived from it. Is it not? So, that is the thing. Neither is there the slightest manifestation of the frantic efforts which a man makes for the sole purpose of enjoying the monopoly of pleasures. Here, for should be by elbowing out all the others, which the ordinary people, deluded by sense objects, extol as heroism. and greatness, but which in reality are but products of the human mind, rendered restless under the impulse of the pairs of opposites, such as attachment and aversion. Now, one very famous example, I don't know now, but for a long time, young men's idol was Bill Gates. And what Bill Gates was doing? Some software made in the lanes of Calcutta, Mumbai. He would come and say, I'll pay you money, you give that to me. And patented by Bill Gates. That man, poor man, is getting some money, so he sells it and loses his copyright. And then this Bill Gates shouts at the top of his voice that Indians are infringing my copyright. And that is our idea. Now, further, but which in reality are but products of the human mind, rendered restless under the impulse of the pairs of opposites. That means in man there is likes and dislikes, love and hate, attachment and hate. And as a result of that, he is doing all this. Fame and infamy, etc. This world is always duels, and affected by that duels, our mind has become its own. That is what I was thinking. This is absent in Bengali, this last line. Because where does this come? Anyway, let me see Bengali. Raga Dveshadi Dvanda Samakul Manav Man. Oh, here. Manav Man is affected by Raga Dveshadi Dvanda Sankul. Pravrittir Pernay Asthir Hoya Bhoga Sukha Karayate. Okay. Long featured connection, long featured connection. It is there. It is there, a long featured connection. Because we will not get the connection here. English, the clauses have to be changed. And that is what making the troubles. Now, can we take this clause earlier to understand? Human mind rendered restless under the impulse of the pairs of opposites, such as attachment and aversion, fame and infamy, etc. Then such minds will call them as heroism. So what exists there? Please tell us. But what exists there are only the aspirant's mind and the infinite currents of the impressions of past lives. So he has to struggle against his own sanskaras. In that realm, there exists the attraction towards high ideals. Why struggling? He is attracted by high ideals, obstructed by sanskaras. Leading the aspirant onto the ultimate goal. Attraction produced by is constantly coming in conflict with certain external things and persons. So, how much is related to the external world or persons? That is very important analysis. Oh. Now we see people are struggling in the world, and we find out the ultimate goal of their struggle. And as a result, our mind recoils. That is the connection with the outside world. We have nothing to do with the outside world. But seeing how the outside world is behaving, our mind recoils. That is the start of sadhana. Saradananda Swami has brilliantly analyzed this. Nothing of this, nothing of this, nothing of this. What is there? So first he starts telling that outside world we see, and we see how people are madly running after this or that. And everybody has his self-interest. Everybody has his self-interest. Now, what should be our self-interest? Our self-interest should not be like theirs. Our self-interest should not be like any self-interest seen in the outside world. Our self-interest is inside. We want to reach our own reality. We want to turn away from the outside world. And seeing the outside world, we turn away. That is our connection with the outside world. That is how the sadhana starts. This is called vairagyam or renunciation or whatever you like to call it. That direction cannot be combined with this direction. We become averse to the worldly direction and want to get away from that. That is the only contact with the outside world. So first he tells that it is a struggle with inner sanskaras. But how we turn inside? Attraction produced by. So again, that English clauses had gone here or there, because that comes first. Okay. That sentence is over, huh? But what exists there are only the aspirant's mind and the infinite currents of the impressions of past life. In that realm, there exists the attraction towards high ideals, leading the aspirant onto the ultimate goal produced by. So here, the other class could have come beginning. English language, produced by, is constantly coming in conflict with certain external things and persons. So constantly in conflict with external things and persons, his mind turns toward higher ideals till he reach the ultimate goal. That is the connection. Yes. There exists his endless, unflinching struggle. Endless, unflinching struggle against his adverse impressions in order to make the mind fix itself exclusively on those ideals leading on to that goal. There are ideals on the way leading to that goal, and the sanskaras are there. So he has to unflinchingly go on struggling till he crosses that sanskara and realizes those ideals and goes further and further. This mystery mongering and so-called spiritual powers, these are like gutter to that man. Absolutely trash. He's trying to go inside to the Atman. There, to make there exists his endless unflinching struggle against his adverse impressions in order to make the mind fix itself exclusively on those ideals leading on to that goal. There exists a resolute attempt at continuously diving deeper into one's own personality by turning the mind away from all external objects and withdrawing it within. So, turn away, go inside, and don't stop inside. Inside you will get mind. Inside you will get eye consciousness. So inside and inside and inside till you reach your soul or till you reach God there, till you reach your own reality. There exists the effort of mining in deeper and deeper regions of inner world. And experiencing the subtler and subtler state of ideas. And there is at last the final arrival at the deepest regions of one's own existence, where one realizes and remains identified with that one immutable reality without a second, which is devoid of sound, touch, and form, from which, as from their substratum, all the ideas, including the I consciousness, spring, and in which they eternally exist. So, there are still more struggles. A paradigm has come here. The natural inclination of the minds of extraordinary sadhaka is to remain in the nirvikalpa samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna is one of this class. Extraordinary sadhaka. That will come later. Now. So, now I, consciousness, world, my relations, these are only ideas in the universal mind. And beyond the universal mind is the reality absolute. And so the struggle. Saradananda Swamiji does not accept any lower aim anywhere in sadhaks life. Though he has told that the sadhaks of Bhakti Yoga do not know their ultimate aim in the beginning, but unconsciously they are leading there itself. So here he says that till he reaches the ultimate reality, where there is no divide of sound, touch and form, but that is the substratum from which these ideas have come. Nirguna Saguna Brahma. Sarvatita Sarvagata Brahma. Tasmin Drishte Paravare. This is the statement of the great sage Saradananda Swami, seeing Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda in his life. So some people will emphasize the Saguna, some people will emphasize the Nirguna, but Saradananda Swamiji says, beyond everything, just now he told about the Rama. And he told that Thakur is to repeatedly tell us about that. So, beyond everything, and that is the support substratum of everything, that is the nature of reality. And unless one gets that, the sadhak does not stop. Afterwards, then what happens? The sanskaras are there. We can take up this portion tomorrow. Huh? The para is same. We'll take it up this. Coming back, going again, coming back, going again, pulled down by the sanskaras, transcending by the effort, unless the sanskaras are eliminated. That is the going to tell you further. Om Sarvadharma Sthapakastvam Sarvadharma Swarupakaha Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.